Hola amigos, and greetings from seasonal affected allergies. Yeah, I was going to record this earlier, but I didn't have a voice at the time, and that's kind of important. I don't think anybody wanted to watch me do charades. Either way, back home after a bizarre night of sport in Halifax, where both the Halifax Wanderers lost to Voyageurs, and of course the Halifax Mooseheads lost the Memorial Cup, and both teams advanced anyway. Truly a monumentous performance for the ages. Let's have a look back at round 1 of the Voyageurs Cup, and we'll start with the series that I was able to attend a game of. It's the Halifax Wanderers versus Vanier of League 1 Ontario. Halifax Wanderers advance on away goals following a 3-3 draw on aggregate, and while they got the job done, ultimately this was bowling shoe ugly? Fugly?
Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
Yeah, well said. I mean, there's some good to take away from all this series. Halifax was great in defense as usual, with Ensa making some great blocks in the first leg, and Shala with great clearances with the head in the second leg. Kuruma was able to challenge and beat defenders one-on-one that led to some goals, including the ultimate series winner from the penalty spot at the end of leg 1. Halifax dominated possession but was overall woeful in midfield, and that meant the attackers were invisible as no one was able to get the ball up to them. Full credit to Vaughan for pressing the crap out of the Wanderers. They had a game plan and they executed that high press great, giving Halifax no time or space with the ball. But Ida, Gutierrez, John, I mean, there's some talent in the midfield. Why is Halifax so bad there? Oh yeah, right. Hard to pressure forward when you've got 7 to 8 guys playing defense. Look, I get playing defensive. Just don't allow 2 goals and you advance, right? And they did just enough. Barely. But they can't play that way in the future. I'm a huge fan of using the wingers and the wingbacks to move that ball up the sidelines and cross it into the box and try to create something that way. I think Halifax could be well built for that, but they're not using it now. And the Wanderers do advance to the round 2 of the Cup. They're going to play Cavalry FC next. Now, on paper, Valor is the one with the star-studded midfield, and on aggregate, this thing is going to end up like 8-0 in favor of Valor. Halifax needs to find a formation that actually works for them, figure out who they are, and figure out how to go forward using what works for them. And, you know, getting Perea back wouldn't hurt either. York 9 versus Blainville had a story a lot like Halifax and Vaughan. York held the bulk of possession but failed to do much with it over 2 legs. It ends 1-0 over 2 legs, York finally breaking the tie late in the second leg, Ryan Telfer scoring on a rebound. There really should have been more goals in this series for both teams. Plenty of great saves were made, and there was some bad luck for Blainville as they rattled it off the crossbar in the opening game. Blainville pressed, forced turnovers, and created chances in the final third. In fact, they created more offensive opportunities than York did, and they really gave York all they could handle. The big takeaway here is that although York and Halifax aren't exactly Cavalry or Forge, the gap between the CPL and the semi-pro clubs isn't that much. Both Vaughan and Blainville look like they could hang in this league and score some points. 13 or more CPL players played League 1 Ontario or PLSQ last year, plus loads more from U Sports. Plus, there's the familiarity of those players who have played together for multiple seasons. No one should be surprised that they pushed hard and almost won both ties. Being able to say they knocked off a CPL team would have been huge for either side. I don't think there's any need to panic or rant that York 9 and Halifax didn't pound these 2 teams into the dirt. I've seen many look at it through very uninformed glasses. These games shouldn't have been close. Those are semi-pro teams. Those are beer league teams. But you know, that is not the case. There's a lot of good young talent on those teams that could very well be in the Canadian Premier League in the future. Unfortunately, those people with those opinions are probably not watching my video. York battles FC Edmonton in round 2. Edmonton have some big defensive bodies to deal with and have been very dangerous on set pieces this spring season. York 9 will have to be better to challenge them, but with Ingham in goal, they always have a chance. Still, York 9 will have to find ways to get into the final third and threaten goal, and like Halifax, get healthy. Joseph Duchala would be a game changer if he was back in the lineup for York 9. And finally, the only all-Canadian Premier League matchup in round 1, Cavalry FC versus Pacific FC.
Used the crossbar in the first leg, nearly scored a third, swung in, oh, and it's gone in. It's an own goal. Well, what a disaster for Pacific. But Cavalry don't care about that.
Yep, that was pretty much this series. Pacific's not a bad squad, but Cavalry's so strong right now, they never really looked threatened. Cavalry dominated the ball on the road, and again at home. Pacific just didn't really have any answers. Pacific have been dealt a bad hand with injuries. With Starosik and De Jong on defense, Cavalry would have had a much harder time scoring. But it is what it is. Everyone has to deal with it. Pacific pushed the ball forward on the counter, but it was mostly shut down after some hard work, or a shot from outside that goes wide. The deflection off Haber's foot early in leg 2 ended this, and the result was never in doubt. This crazy championship means that Cavalry will play Forge in the second round, an obvious matchup of the best two teams in CPL. The winner gets Vancouver in round 3, probably the weakest of the Canadian MLS clubs, and you have to think that both Cavalry FC and Forge FC believe that they have a chance, at very least worrying Vancouver Whitecaps. This will be a great series, no doubt about it. Did you enjoy the first round of the Cup? Who do you think will advance from round 2? And could Cavalry or Forge really beat Vancouver Whitecaps? Tell me what you think down below, and remember to subscribe. I am the Soccer Rudo, and until next time I wish you and your club many goals, and good lucha things.